Hey everyone, good morning. I threw on this before when I realized I was wearing the same shirt I wore yesterday in the show. That's how that's just how
In
it
the
flies.
pandemic, that's not unheard of.
No, I just haven't changed since I slept in the shirt and everything like that. There you go. So I threw on
I don't
my.
come in contact with people. Who cares?
See, I make sure though, because I want to keep up appearances, that I wear a different shirt every day. But it's
Right.
like sometimes I fall asleep in these shirts.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I did with this shirt. I'm like, this
Yeah.
So you just have different shades of gray, Mike. We get it.
yeah.
Not gray. This is blue,
That
So-
is not blue.
dark blue and light.
No, that is not blue on
It
any
is
planet.
blue.
I don't know if Mike's colorblind.
He is, because Eck is wearing blue right now.
This is
I'm telling you, this is
definitely blue.
His hat is blue.
So is this.
Okay, Mike. All right. Anyhow, go ahead. Eck.
Let me
Sorry.
close this door 1 second. I got a story real quick, but
Yes, it's gray and dark gray. That's what it is.
Russ, why don't you start with the pre-show?
I got
and then
No,
Oh,
Eck's
okay,
something
okay.
first.
All right, so, yes, this is like a public service announcement. I think really important. So if any of you guys have parents out there, older parents, or just are out there trying, like I've been trying for the last several days to get a COVID appointment for them to get their vaccination shots. I've been like crazy, like on Rite Aid, CVS. I mean, these websites are horrible. I mean, and it's not their fault. They're getting inundated with things, but man, they're rough. I've gotten so many times I've gotten like the very final stage of Rite Aid and gotten locked out.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy. But what you do is, I just got an appointment for my mom in 4 minutes this way. Okay, and I was just shocked. I was just totally shocked.
You went into a store with a gun.
No.
Whoa.
I got no. So this is.
I'm kidding.
My mom's 72 years old. So I got, and she's a two-time breast cancer survivor. I really wanted to get her an appointment.
Yeah, sure.
So I've been trying like crazy. So what you do is this. Someone gave me this tip and it's amazing. Go onto Facebook, your favorite place. Search your state and search COVID ambassadors. Okay, or no, not COVID ambassadors. COVID matchmakers. Sorry, COVID matchmakers, or just COVID vaccine. And what you'll find is there's people out there who are like, just really good at computers and are great at, and know these little tricks on these things, and they are out there just setting up appointments for people. And what they do is you go onto the site and you'll see people post something like, I just got an appointment in Willingboro, New Jersey, who wants it, PM me, whoever wants it, bam, bam, bam. So that came up, something like that. And this woman, I PM'd her and she's like, somebody else got the appointment already. And it was quick, I said, well, I'm just trying to get one for my mom. She's 72. I said, whole story, whatever. A two-time breast cancer survivor. She said, hold on a second. 3 minutes later, she had an appointment for her next Tuesday.
Wow.
At a CVS in like 20 minutes away from her house in New Jersey. So it's just, this is, if you're looking for this, for a way to make this happen, I'm telling you, this is like a great path, and it's amazing. And this woman, I was like, I didn't know what to say to her. I'm like, are you a Flyers fan? You want tickets to something? I can give you some. I'm like, I'm so thankful for what you've done. If they ever let people in the building again, I'll get you whatever you need. She's like, no, thanks. I'm just doing this all day.
33G says senior cancer survivor instant approval. It's not the case because my mom is too.
Right,
she's
it's not.
breast cancer survivor, and it's not, and she's 84.
It's not. So,
Well,
but there are,
my mom is 89, and now the thing is, and this is with older people, this is the thing you have to worry about is their hesitancy. We convinced her, get it because she was hesitant. All vaccines. Now she hears the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is out. It's a one-shot deal. Now she wants to wait until it's one shot instead of two.
right. And next week, that's going to make things probably even easier to get appointments because that's going to be in the marketplace too. And it definitely seems like a better option because it is one shot. And it also, some people are saying it's better with some of the new strains. Whatever. Just get a shot, get a vaccine.
Get whatever shot you could get. That's
because like the Pfizer, that's what I got the first one of. And I got lucky because I live like literally like 200 yards from Rite Aid, and I told the guy, I'm like, listen, if anybody comes in here and then they scan you with a fever gun or whatever, and they can't do it because they have a fever or somebody has an appointment, I said, you just text me and bam, I'm there. And that's what happened with me with my first shot. I got lucky.
Well,
I've got so I got qualified.
Most of the drugstores in our area, if you call them or if you go in, they basically say go to the New York State website because they're set up into the network. They don't want to have to deal with people on a personal.
Yeah, my dad's been calling and getting the runaround too.
Yeah.
So, but this way of doing it, they are like someone said, like COVID Robin Hoods. They are these, and this is just a woman who's like, yeah, my husband works. I'm here with the kids, and I'm just good with computers, and I found out how to do this really quickly. And she has I have like 7 computers scanning all the time. And I called my mom up. She was like in tears. She's like, I can't believe I got this. I'm like, this is, and it was just literally, I'm telling you, it was 4 minutes between the time I into Messenger now. I'm not might be that quick, but just, anybody who's done this knows how difficult it is and how much it can help. So yeah, especially in New Jersey, at least. New Jersey seems like, I said, hey, do you know anybody in Pennsylvania doing this, for my wife and stuff like that? And she's like, yeah, there are some people over there you got to check out. So yeah, it's really, it's worth looking into. It's Facebook, just, COVID vaccine or COVID matchmakers, they call it. So
Russ, you had a pre-show thing?
Yeah, real quick. Something that we had heard about that was going to be employed in Major League Baseball for spring training was employed yesterday. Just watching the Phillies, really not paying attention to guys. I'll admit, early in spring training, I will watch a few innings at a time. I'll have it on in the background. I'll notice a few rookies, but I won't really be locked in. It takes a couple weeks until I start seeing, some of the regulars. But they're doing something now that I really do think is hurting the development of players. And basically, when they talked about, hey, if the managers get together and they decide, hey, we're only going to play 7 innings or we're only going to play 5 innings, and then that's it, the game's over, that's okay. And so yesterday they did that. After 7 innings, there was a 4-4 tie. And, my basic problem with this is, and apparently they say it's only for the first 2 weeks, but who knows? They could probably do it anytime they want, honestly.
Yeah, and I understand that, in spring training, they pace these players. They're not going to play them every day. It's like you're going to get a half a lineup that's Major League and half a lineup that's AAA. But like I watched like 2 innings of the Yankees game because that's all I could really watch when their lineup was like riddled with Socrates, Brito, and a couple guys who will never see the major leagues in their lifetime. And it's like, okay, it's not exactly exciting to watch. It really isn't.
No, I was just gonna say my 2 biggest problems are people are paying money for these seats, and how are you going to know if you're traveling across Florida and that's your stop is Clearwater tomorrow, and they've already decided, hey, it's a 5-inning game? You've paid full money. Like that's not fair. And the other thing is,
give them a free hot dog.
Yeah, players aren't going to develop if they never play in extra innings or real extra innings, or you can't simulate these situations. It's the same in hockey. It's like if you don't practice the shootout, your team will be bad at the shootout. If you don't practice being in extra innings, really it won't feel like extra innings. And I'm telling you, people are just blowing it off. They're like, it's the spring, it doesn't matter. It may not matter to us, the viewer. It matters to the fan that's paying, and it does matter to the players playing.
Well, and then we'll start. Here's the most asinine thing that I have heard regarding what Major League Baseball is doing right now. I just heard Buster Olney on Toronto radio say that right now the negotiations between the Major League Baseball and the Players Association are regarding the universal DH and expanded playoffs. Is that Major League Baseball says, we'll give you the universal DH if you agree to expanded playoffs, and the Players Association are coming back and saying, you want the universal DH. We're not going to give you anything for so they're sort of bartering when neither side has a benefit or neither side has it's just agree to it.
No, you know what? No, I'm going to say this, and I think Eck would agree with this, and it's the same for any sport. You don't barter something like a DH where that is so meaningful to people like me and National League fans. You don't barter that away when that is like the history of the game,
right?
And that's what they're doing, and that's the problem with this commissioner.
It's going to go away this year or next year, and you know it, and I know it, and it sucks, but it's going to happen anyway. Let's start talking hockey.
All right, here we go. Okay, it's March 2nd. Sure.
It's March. It's definitely March. I'll give you that hit.
Yes, we are. All right, here we go. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen. X got it right 2 days in a row. That's good.
I know. Pretty good, man. I'm X, and you're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. See if I can get this part right. This is a podcast that comes every Monday through Friday to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. and we're going to start with what I think. I'm going to start with the Alex Stalock pickup by the Edmonton Oilers. We had a little debate about this last night on text. Mike, of course, thinks it's the greatest move ever and thinks the Oilers are now going to win the Stanley Cup. I'm not quite so quick to go that far, Mike, but I think that I do agree.
Well, excuse me, it was flip-flop. You thought it was the greatest invention since sliced bread. Me, I was like, okay, here, this is the thing. Alex Stalock, is he a good goaltender? Sure. Is he a starting goaltender? No. Last year, because of circumstance, he was forced into a starting position with Minnesota and played well, but he's not a starting goaltender. He got them to a certain point, but we saw that they have Kakkonen, who they think is their goalie of the future. They bring in Cam Talbot. They clearly were not happy with their goaltending situation overall. Okay, he gets placed on waivers yesterday after, and I don't even know specifically if it was COVID or what was going on with that kept him out the first month or so of the season. They placed him on waivers to put him probably with the taxi squad. He gets claimed by Edmonton. Edmonton now has to wait 14 days for Stalock, and and we'll talk about the game last night, based on the performance of both the Swiss cheese Mikko Koskinen or the old man Mike Smith. They need help in goal. But this is the problem. Alex Stalock is not the savior. Alex Stalock will help. I mean, he could be a 1B there, and if they decide to put Koskinen on the taxi squad, believe me, nobody's going to claim him if they put him on waivers. But the problem is the Edmonton Oilers, as they are currently constructed and as they are currently playing in terms of defense, will not win unless they have a legitimate starting goaltender. And this organization hasn't had that since when, Russ? Curtis Joseph?
But you're just pushing – hold on. You're just pushing the goalpost back now because of on Edmonton. I think this pickup could do it for them. Yeah. I saw what Stalock did for Minnesota last year. And
really, he was definitely a starting goalie last year. There's no question.
He carried that team when nobody expected him to be able to carry it. And – he is the kind of goalie that can make these saves when things are breaking down. He is that goalie.
He's a Band-Aid.
No one's saying he's Marty Brodeur, Mike.
But don't say that he's.
But he is way better than what they have. In my opinion, he's way better. He's more stable than what they have for sure.
He is more stable than what they have.
And Russ is right. He's the kind of goalie that is very good at actually making saves in like more scrambly situations, which we talked about yesterday. How Mike Smith sometimes that is not his strength necessarily.
No, he looks like he's going to have a nervous breakdown.
Right. He does. He sometimes manages to make some amazing saves, but Mike Smith does. But still, like it's very Stalock's much more of your standard really good side to side goalie who makes quick saves. He's really kind of reminds me of a Finnish goalie, even though he's not a Finnish goalie.
Richard has a good point. He said Bill Ranford. I think he's just below a Bill Ranford. Doesn't have the crazy eyes that Bill Ranford.
Yeah, that was the answer to when was the last time Edmonton had a good
number. I see.
No, but I'm going to say I think that's a good comparison.
I think he's just below a Bill Ranford, though.
He is, and that is this is not like this is better than many of the goalies in this division. And you're already looking at what?
My God, I'm sorry. I
don't know why you're so anti-Edmonton this year, Mike. It's kind of insane. It's like they became the Montreal Canadiens or something. They are really.
That's exactly what happened.
They became your arch enemy, because now they're the biggest talent for their moves. What's the deal?
Right now we're talking Stalock. I'm not anti-Stalock in the sense that he's not an NHL goaltender, which I think he is. Other than, and I'm looking at this, other than the 24 games he played in San Jose in 2014, where he had a 187 goals against and a 932 save percentage, he is basically an average goaltender.
What about last year, Mike? I mean, last year
910 save percentage.
910 save percentage on a team that was like that he basically willed them into the playoffs. I mean, this is like a team that he was amazing for them last year. That team that was falling apart. I mean, Minnesota was terrible before he started for them.
He was forced to play more games than he ever has in his career, and he put up solid numbers. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
In Iowa, we have to be fair.
Do I think that he's better than Koskinen, better than Smith? Yes. Is he going to solve their goaltending problems? No.
He's not there to solve their goaltending problems. He's not, like I said, you're not. I mean, there's if you want to talk about solving their goaltending problems, one team in this division has done that, and that guy, and that's out in Calgary right now. Everybody else has goaltending problems in this division right now. So
actually, I just got a text, Mike. Martin Gerber disagrees with you.
Andrew Raycroft says hello. But no,
I'm telling you, I mean, every team no one has like the perfect. I mean, Carey Price is a great goalie, of course. Minnesota, in Calgary, they've got a great goalie, but he's having.
We said the same. Hold on, we said the same things about Khudobin, and he has been proving us wrong for a season and a half.
There you go. No, that's a great comparison too.
And Markstrom has had injury problems in Calgary.
Right.
We know the settling in problems that have happened in Vancouver with Demko and Holtby.
Sure.
Carey Price has had his problems in Montreal, and with the Leafs, it's been injuries. But it sounds like But so you're right. Everybody's have goaltending, but I'm talking about like when things are when everybody's healthy and you've got three goaltenders. Is Stalock the best of the three? Maybe, but that's a commentary on how bad the Edmonton.
I remember UC Markkinen played goal for them in the Stanley Cup.
Ross, come on.
No, but what I mean, Mike, what you're thinking is, if you're thinking they're going to get their saving goalie for the rest of for the next 10 years off of waivers, I mean, that's not going to happen. No. What we're talking about here is a goalie that actually makes them incredibly competitive in this division. He
doesn't, because what you saw over the last two nights, and give Toronto a lot of credit to how well defensively they played. And Mark Spector last night at the end of the game says, "I've never seen a Leaf team like this play team defense the way they did," and they played fantastic. But again, the last two nights reiterates the point that I've been making all season. If McDavid and Draisaitl are held in check, this team has no friggin' chance to win.
There is one thing. I will say, when you watch that game, if Edmonton falls behind by a couple of goals, and it lasts for a couple of periods, McDavid has been fading. There's no question about it. No, I agree with you.
I honestly will tell you what
he has to work on.
I'll tell you what that feels like to me, and this makes Mike's point to a degree, although Mike's point is very overstated. But what to me, to the smallest degree, what I feel with McDavid and Draisaitl is that when they fall behind, they are saying we'll get them next game, basically.
Right.
Because these are guys who are playing 20, 25 minutes a game or whatever, and they're not going to sit there when they're down by a couple goals and bust their butts and maybe get hurt or take out the energy that they can put into a game that they can definitely win. Right. I feel like Edmonton has that, and that's a regular season mentality, granted, okay? But it makes sense in this kind of regular season where you have so few days between games. And it's like, if you're winning, it's like the tennis match. It's like you're playing a best of 5 tennis sets. Right. And you're down 5-0. You're down 5-0.
You're not going to put any energy in.
Don't kill yourself in that because take it to the next set. That's what I saw. And yes, Toronto played great team defense, and Toronto beat them, shut it out 2 nights in a row. And Toronto is the best team in the NHL now. I mean, you're talking about if you're sitting there judging Edmonton's battle against the best
team in their league. Yeah, there's a lot of other teams in the other.
That's true. The best team in their division.
But
their league.
Their league. Yeah,
that's true. Exception to that point,
originally
McDavid, after being limited to 1 shot on goal, he had 6 shots on goal yesterday. He was flying around, so it was just a case of actually Michael Hutchinson playing pretty decently.
He played very well.
But McDavid was very quiet in the third period. He was.
Yeah, but
if you're gonna rely on Michael Hutchinson, Mike, you're screwed. This.
Right. But Freddie Anderson is almost back, and Campbell re-aggravated his leg injury, but it's not supposed to be serious. It's like a day-to-day thing. So, probably by next week, both goaltenders are back. But this is the thing. You want to know who's of a like mind with me in terms of Edmonton needing a legitimate starting goaltender? The guy's name is Ken Holland. Because they went out and
everyone thinks that.
Right, but
that's not what we're talking about here. That guy's not available. You can't go get him right now.
Yes, you can.
Who is he? Who can you get right now? Right now.
I mean, before he got Hart, Marc-Andre Fleury was on the trade block. They just
not really
a $7 million salary. That's why.
Yeah, but you have to give up a ton. So much. I mean,
and give up a ton. You're not winning anything without a starting goalie.
You don't know that, Mike.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Look at what Edmonton's doing.
Have you seen Alex Stalock with the Oilers yet? No. So
oh my God! Please.
He's way better than Hutchinson.
You rip Freddie Anderson, but Alex Stalock is friggin' Jerry Cheevers.
We're not saying that.
We're not saying that. Listen,
no one is saying that. I'm saying, is he good enough is he good enough on a team that has Draisaitl and McDavid to make a serious run? Yes.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say it like this though. Stalock played as well as Anderson in the playoffs with a lesser team, and he did great. He had an 898. I get it, but his team wasn't very good.
The problem in the playoffs last year was not Frederik Andersen for the Leafs,
and it was not Alex Stalock for the Minnesota Wild.
Right, but Alex Stalock,
but somehow he doesn't win. So at some point, it is him.
Okay,
I don't know. I think that's and there's just what they did was make themselves a hell of a lot better, and they're already the second best team in that league. We're going to say they're already the second best team in Canada. They made themselves a hell of a lot better in this thing, and they make themselves pretty scary.
It's just muddying up the picture. That's all he's trying to do.
I will continue until it's mathematical that Edmonton will not make the playoffs.
There's no way now that they will not make the
playoffs.
Okay. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, first of all, a team that goes like 10-2 in a 56 game season or whatever is going to make the playoffs. That's just the reality. They're going to make the playoffs.
Listen, Eck, I get it. Mike is bored with the Leafs because they're so far ahead. He's got to have something else to focus on.
I think Mike just takes angst against the most competitive team against them. And I think that this is what it is. I mean, this is the reality.
Honestly, I rail against Edmonton because they are fatally flawed and they don't seem to want to address the areas that they need to address to be successful. I mean, honestly,
there's a lot of fatally flawed teams in the NHL that don't have McDavid and Draisaitl.
Right now, Winnipeg is 1 point behind them. They have 3 games in hand. Montreal is 5 points behind them. They have 4 games in hand. Mm-hmm. Their battle right now is with Calgary and Vancouver to stay in the top 4. Based on the defensive inadequacies that I see from the Oilers, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they fall.
You're going to tell me that they are more fatally flawed than Montreal?
Yes, I right now Montreal is a victim of Carey Price playing average, and do I think Carey Price is average? No. I mean, I think Carey Price can bounce back. I think Montreal made moves during the offseason that I thought made them a more complete team. Defensively, they're leaps and bounds better than Edmonton. No, Edmonton's better offensively, but I think if you
leaps and bounds.
Yeah, by leaps and bounds. But the goaltending, if Carey Price is Carey Price, then they bash Edmonton over the head.
And if McDavid and Draisaitl,
yeah, but
same thing.
They can't be this good. 56.
Neither can Carey Price. I mean, the reality is,
That's why they got Jake Allen.
Yeah, but fine. Montreal's got so many more holes than Edmonton has. It's not.
Montreal's backup would be Edmonton's starter in goal.
Jake Allen. Jake Allen. A lot of team starters, and he'd be a lot of team starters. He was a starter in goal.
That's fair with both.
It's fair for sure, and that's why they're spending $10 million on goalies or whatever they're spending. I mean, it's like that makes sense because they can do that. But the reality is, I mean, teams can't do that. They got Stalock for nothing. I know on a waiver pickup.
That's what you think his dog's name is.
I keep forgetting it.
I'm so frustrated. Russ, take us someplace else.
Yeah, please.
Listen, Eck, I told you how to handle this situation. You don't listen.
Yeah, just mute me. That's what you do.
Bully sticks, peanut butter, something. Frozen peanut butter in a Kong. Have you done that?
And Mikko Koskinen is making $4.5 million.
I know. Listen, it's a waste. I get it. I do.
No one's debating that right now. That's not the point.
It isn't the point. Eck, have you tried frozen peanut butter in a Kong?
Frozen. I'll try that next. I haven't tried that
next because they lick it forever.
Sounds delicious, though. I'll give it a try later today.
Okay, but before we make everybody sick about talking about the Leafs, let's talk about another team that I think has a similar problem to the Oilers, and that is the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina, I watched a lot of that game last night, especially like third period and overtime, and the Hurricanes won on a goal by Neckish. And it was, they're a really good up front. They're really good. Their top four defense is fantastic. I just don't know now. Ross, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to Nedeljkovic because I've seen him play in the American Hockey League, and if he can step up and handle the load, then they might have a chance. But if it's Mrazek and Reimer, they're not beating Tampa Bay. They're not getting out of their division.
No, I don't think so either. But Nedeljkovic, if they could bring him along this year and somehow he's ready, because look, he's I think he's 25.
Yeah.
That's the age that a lot of goalies do. It starts to kick in for them, and I think there's a chance. He made like 44 saves yesterday. I think the problem is with Florida and Ryan Dreger, because I don't think it's going to last. I think that is one where Hugh is going to ride him into the ground. I know he's playing Bob, but he's not playing him as much.
Yeah.
And look, Bob may not look great at times, but he was winning games. When Bob is the worst is when he's rusty and not playing.
Well, I mean, this is something that we're going to talk about between now and April 12th. The question is, I think there's 4 or 5 teams that could be legitimate contenders that could use a goaltender, or at least teams that are playoff teams that could use an upgrade in goaltending. The question is, who is going to be out there of the teams that are out of the. I mean, we were saying Ranta and Kemper in Arizona, but Arizona is in a race for the playoffs. So
it doesn't matter. They're also in a race for needing finances, and at the last minute they may make that decision that
right. To recoup all the draft picks that they've given away because of the penalties. So that might be one, but after that, it's like
and they'll go to goalie back in the trade, so they'll say, "Well, we're still in it because we got X and Y. We got X."
But look at the teams that are out of the playoffs now, or they're likely out of the playoffs. New York is not trading either one of Georgiev or Shesterkin.
Oh no, but John Bucharest thinks they should.
Buffalo has with Allmark out has the worst goaltending tandem in the NHL with Carter Hutton and Jonas Johansson or Dustin Tokarski. Detroit, does anybody think Jonathan Bernier is an upgrade? Maybe as a backup, but he's a $3 million backup or ex buddy Thomas Greiss. Ottawa is not trading Matt Murray and probably wouldn't get a lot.
Hey, he got a win yesterday.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're not trading him because he's the goalie, probably the goalie of the here and the now. So I don't know where these teams go for goaltending upgrades unless other teams drop out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean that market is if you might be right.
Hold on, I can give you a team that may have a goalie to trade. So I did. No, hold on now. Dubnik's definitely going to get traded, but I don't think he's enough, and he makes too much money for some teams. I think I wrote an article yesterday. I don't know when it's going to go online about Thatcher Demko, and he's definitely coming into his own. He got his first regular season shutout yesterday. He had a great shutout in the postseason yesterday. They could trade Braden Holtby and bring up Michael Pietro. They could, and if they brought in some defensive help for that team, they could turn it around too with Demko playing well. They could.
The only thing about that, and I'd have to look at their, because you have to expose a goaltender in expansion. And I know, if you can get out of paying Holtby $4-something million, then you would do it. But the thing is, Demko is the goalie they protect. DiPietro is an exempt goalie, and then you don't have a goaltender to expose.
I'm sure they have somebody.
I'll look, but I don't think they do.
Okay.
You know who could use them? You know who could use Holtby?
Washington.
The Washington Capitals, yeah. I mean, and it's really ironic because
you know what? They probably could afford him now that Lundqvist is not playing. That was
They could. I mean, it could be a really interesting situation going there because I mean, Holtby is 40th in the NHL. Basically, I mean, it depends. If you look at save, it depends on how we do this. But if you do save percentage,
I feel bad that the Tortoises have to go back across the border, and they may have trouble again. I mean, but whatever, they'll work it out.
Well, DiPietro, they have 3 entry-level goaltenders, so all exempt. So nobody.
They could get somebody in this trade. You trade Holtby, they could get. Yes.
Maybe they could do that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the save percentages, throughout the league, the goalies who played the most games, the Capitals have nowhere near, and they're nowhere near the top anywhere. It's like it's crazy.
Well, they've dodged a big bullet. I mean,
their best one is 35th with Vanacek, who's at 909.
Right. I mean, they dodged a bullet, and basically, not to go back on the previous argument, but Vanacek has been Washington's version of Stalock. He's probably a good backup, and they forced him into a starting role. And because they have all the power that they have in terms of Ovechkin and Backstrom and all the good players that they have, they've been able to win with just getting competent goaltending out of Vanacek. But they're going to need Samsonov to play up to the expectations that we had at the beginning of the season. And Craig Anderson, he's there as a disaster backup, basically.
Right. Okay, Mike. So who's the second best save percentage goalie in the NHL who's played at least 9 games? I'll give you a hint that Vasilevsky's number 1. Vasilevsky played 16 games. He's 938. Vasilevsky's having an unreal year, by the way.
I was going to say is it Varlamov? Is it Kevin Lankinen?
Nope. Playing no, it's not more than 9 games. Nope.
Is it Mackenzie?
It's not Grubauer. He's
Blackwood.
Nope. Well, you're gonna like this number. You're gonna like this one though. Number 3 would be Marc-Andre Fleury at 935. This guy's at 938, has played in 9 games. That would be one Mike Smith of the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that's so fleeting.
Would you?
I'm just telling you. I mean, I'm not sitting there and saying, that's just like, I mean, it's right. Not. Mike Smith has not sucked
in a 5-game. He's 39 years old. But
he's
5-game. Yeah, okay. Do you think Michael Hutchinson with a 954 save percentage is for real? It's not.
No, he's played 4 games. Brian Elliott's played 8 games. He's 931. Is it where the real story on this list, which is crazy?
There are certain times when statistics lie, and that's where they do.
They lie when we don't like what they say. That's what that's what you're saying, Mike, to me. That's what I'm getting out of that. But I'm just telling you that I'm not going to go back to that argument, believe me. But I'm just saying that, my gosh, like the big story on this list, though, when I went to this, 48th in the NHL, and granted, there's a lot of goalies who played just a few games on this, but third, there's only 2 goalies. There's only 2 goalies that have played worse than it. So Saros is the worst goalie in the NHL right now.
Color me shocked.
At 898 save percentage wise, okay? 898.
Color me shocked, Dick.
He's played 12 games. 10 games right above him at 899 is Sergei Bobrovsky. Okay, so we're just talking about that, right? And then but at 12
he's winning games.
At 12 games right above him at 899, Carter Hart.
Yeah.
So Carter Hart is like at the very bottom of the league in save percentage right now, where you have Brian Elliott near the top.
Right. And again, that's where you can't blame the Flyers defense.
Yeah.
That's where you say, hey, Brian Elliott has figured out how to play with not the best defenses, and Carter Hart's not there yet.
Yeah, he's really struggled this year, and those are big numbers. I mean, they really are. So I mean, that's significant.
This is another reason why I said unless they're going to shift a lot of games to Elliott now until Hart picks it up, they could fall out of the playoff race. And then you kind of wonder what Vigneault will do here. And honestly, if Hart were to go on a 2 or 3 game run where he doesn't do well, he would go to Elliott. I don't think Vigneault cares about who the goalie of the future is. Yeah,
I think this particular year, it being so weird as it is, everybody can write this year off and say, okay, this was a weird year. And I think that's something that people are going to do when it's convenient, like what Mike does. When something's convenient, Mike will take that stat and go with it. And I think that's what you're going to
do over the head with it.
You're going to conveniently say that, that Mike Smith is not that good, even though he's got the, second best save percentage in the league. But in this situation, yes, I agree. I think that it's very obvious when you watch the Flyers that they're more comfortable with Elliott in goal right now. They're just a better team with Elliott in goal right now. The big thing is, they just to try to destroy Carter Hart's confidence. I would just go to.
And he can't play Elliott like 6 games straight either. He's
right. Elliott is best in the role he's in as a backup. He's coming off the bench. He's like your 6th guy or whatever in basketball, right? That's what he does. Put him as a starter.
Elliott playing the bulk of road games again? I can.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, even at home, Hart has been basically the same this year. Yeah. So I think when it gets to the playoffs, it gets really interesting. I mean, if the playoffs started tomorrow, what would you do? I mean, this would be a real pickle for the players.
Me personally, I would start Carter Hart. If I didn't get a good effort out of Carter Hart, then I have reason to take him out. If I start Elliott in the playoffs, I got a problem now.
Yeah. And Petrosky in the chat room says the Hart save percentage is .920 when not playing Boston, .830 against. It doesn't
matter. You know what?
It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. It's more than that, though. It's just watching them play every.
It is more than that. Richard, you're right in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, Boston has owned him. That's basically what that says, which is true. Right. But when you watch the 2 goalies play, it's obvious who's more confident right now, who's more secure right now. It's not this.
Russ, I wanted to ask you about a player that we both have liked as a prospect, and now he's getting all the attention because he scored. He has scored. Let's see here, 8 goals in his last 8 games, and that's Drake Batharson.
Yeah.
He's his goals in 6 straight, which is something like that Austin Matthews does. I mean, I've liked him since he played at the World Junior.
Yep.
He put up good numbers in the AHL, and I think people thought, okay, he'll be a good player for Ottawa, but I don't think he's a top 6. He might be a top 6 guy for them.
No, he could be. I want to say, what is he, like 6'3"? And
6'1", 204.
6'1", okay. So he does have pretty good size. His speed was always good. It wasn't like great, and I think I have noticed his speed looks better to me. He always had the hands, and he always was able to get past defenders and get in on the net. So I'm not shocked that he's on a streak like this, but I think you're right. I think he has basically ratcheted up maybe even the best of scouting reports for him, and that's a credit to the Senators. I mean, that's what's maddening about the Senators for me. Is that they are producing guys. Brady Tkachuk is getting better. Not that he needed a lot of help. He just needed to get stronger, honestly. But Stützle looks great. They didn't need to do anything with him. But they have some of their younger guys getting better, but they don't have them surrounded with anybody.
Yeah, and Shabbat is a really good defenseman. But yeah, I mean, okay, you have to say that what they did before the season. The deals that they made with Tampa, the deal that they made with Arizona, it really hasn't helped them. Stepan is going to be somebody that they might trade at the deadline and retain salary on because they're going to try.
They're having a tough time. They're having a tough time getting anybody to do that.
They
getting Stepan to agree to go to certain places. I heard.
Right, they waived Braden Colburn after making the trade for him. They traded the other player they got in that deal in the Dzingel deal with Carolina. I'm thinking the fourth line guy from Tampa.
Paquette?
Cedric Paquette, yes. So I mean, really, they're sort of moving these veterans in and out like chess pieces.
Yes.
And a lot of them, their contracts were front loaded, so it's like it's cap hit. And not money.
Right. It doesn't help the young players. They need guys for long term. It doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The positive attributes of the Ottawa Senators right now have been Stützle, have been Tkachuk, have been Connor Brown, who's a younger guy.
Connor Brown's really been great.
Right, and I said when that trade was made with Toronto that Connor Brown would have an opportunity to sort of spread his wings and be an effective player because he was relegated to that jack of all trades role by Mike Babcock when he was a more talented player.
Connor Brown's interesting because when I went to go see Barrie against Erie and I was essentially going to see McDavid against Ekblad, Connor Brown was noticeable. But the thing about Connor Brown was he was getting the knock that McDavid really ratcheted up his numbers. And I do think that was something for a while, but then Connor Brown really did develop, and he has continued to develop. Right. And so he really, and you definitely noticed when he started to develop, and you made me pay attention to him, and I was like, yeah, I do see it, and he was probably a victim of circumstance for the Leafs, but he has done well for them, and so that was a good pickup. And he is one of the veterans, but they need so many more.
But other than that comeback game against the Leafs, I don't think they're getting their money's worth out of Dadonov, who they signed with 3 years.
No, they're not.
Right? Colin White sat at the beginning of the year. I think DJ Smith was sending him a message, but they've got Dzingel, who they supposedly are going to keep. Anisimov is a rental. Good Branson. I mean, they really, it's like they're sort of a hodgepodge, and until Eugene decides he's going to invest money wisely. I mean, you can't complain about what Dorian has done in terms of.
Well, Dorian's done his job and done it really well.
Yeah.
Bad circumstances. What bothers me about Dadonov is when he wants to be somewhere, he does play great, but he also can turn into Martin Erat, and that's
right. And I was surprised that he ended up. I mean, everybody thought he was going to stick in Florida because it's Florida.
I did too.
Yeah, and he's a Russian, and the Russians love Florida, and that they went to Ottawa, and clearly in a rebuilding situation. And the only thing I can think of is he probably thinks after a year he's going to get traded somewhere.
I'm sure that's what he thinks.
Yeah,
but he loves money too. He wants that. I mean, the money was there, so I mean, Florida wasn't going to. Florida just. I mean, I think they didn't see him as a legitimate scorer. Look,
when the new regime took over, maybe Zito broke it down and said, he is scoring goals for us. Maybe he wasn't scoring them at the right time, and maybe he felt like other guys could fill that scoring gap. And so far, he's right.
Okay. They really just didn't have the money in Florida, honestly, to do it. It was like talking to people in the area. There was just like they wanted to keep Hoffman, they wanted to keep these guys, but honestly, I wish I talked to Zito about it at one point, and he said, "Yeah, I told him I'd love to keep you, but I just can't. It's not possible. It's just it's the way it goes,
Well, talk about the worst bang for the buck in the NHL right now. Last night in the 6-2 victory over the Colorado Avalanche, Erik Karlsson scored his first goal of the season.
I know.
For people who say that Drew Doughty's a terrible contract, Drew Doughty's still producing.
Drew Doughty's having a good season.
He's having a very good year. Erik Karlsson. I mean, what is he making? 11?
Yeah,
I think he's making 11, and we're talking about in game 20. He's got his first goal, 11.5 for 6 more years. Look up Albatross, look up Boat Anchor in Webster's, and you'll see Erik Karlsson. That's the picture. Because the owners of the San Jose Sharks must love Doug Wilson, because Doug Wilson probably have a job for life, but that organization is going to be in trouble for years because of not only the Martin Jones contract, not only the Karlsson contract. Brent Burns maybe is still producing, but he's getting older. Vlasic is a terrible deal, and then you've got Logan. Couture is still good, and Kane is still good, but there's a lot of dead weight on that roster, and they'll never be able to get rid of it unless.
It's funny, if you look on Hockey Reference, Doughty is on pace to be a Hall of Famer. He's a
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's getting listed with guys like Chelios and Suter and Sergei Gonchar, who was offensive, but Doughty's obviously better defensively. Yeah. And so, I mean, he's got 17 points in 20 games. Like, I know people definitely were ripping him way too early. But Erik Karlsson, look, we know what kind of player he was. He might make it to the Hall of Fame because he was the best defenseman in the league for 5, 6, 7 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And look.
Sorry.
All right, Chewy.
What the heck was that?
All right, Chewy, calm down.
That's my Chewbacca alarm tells me to give my dog medicine. Sorry, that's what it's really annoying. It goes off twice.
He was such a hockey fan.
It goes off twice a day. I usually don't have podcasts at 9:45 in the morning either. So hey, sorry about that.
Although to be fair, I don't know if anybody saw it, but Chewbacca, he and I get along, and we definitely correspond on Twitter because the new Chewy is Finnish, and Jonas loves hockey. So
I thought Chewy died, but okay.
This is the new Chewy, right?
New Chewy, yes.
And so he and I are buddies. And
that's pretty good. That's good.
That is pretty good. But
I love it. Should we be worried about the Colorado Avalanche a little bit here? Like I'm worrying about this.
No.
Like, I mean, it feels like this is just a delay, a small setback, but they are definitely. I mean, they're 5-4-1 in their last 10. They're only a point ahead of the Los Angeles Kings right now. You know,
I think
for the last playoff spot.
their ups and downs in a season. I'm not worried. I was
their goaltending has not been good, and we've talked about that. Grubauer at times it's unfair to say it's not been good. It's been wildly inconsistent. Put it that way.
Yeah, they are without Makar right now, which can't be overstated how good and how. I mean, they're without Makar. They didn't play Byram yesterday. They didn't play Eric Johnson yesterday. You look at their defense, Russ. I don't know two of them. McDonald and Renouf.
Yeah.
They played Graves, Girard, Timmons, and Taves, but you're missing three defensemen. Any team that's missing.
No, it's a big deal. And I even was watching the game, and then I went to sleep when they were up about 2-1 when Sam Girard scored this wicked good goal. And you know what? They lost the game. I'm not worried about them yet, Eck.
Yeah, but Nazem Kadri was -2, so there's a shock.
Actually, Kadri was not having – that was a game where I felt like they were focusing on Kadri because they could see him coming a little unglued in that game. And he's going to have those too. Eck, there is one thing I wanted to mention, again, for Florida. So when Anton Lundell was drafted, he wasn't looked at as a goal scorer. So they got him at 12th. I told you the story about how I felt he could score goals based on what he told me. McCabe felt like he could score goals, so they drafted him 12th. He has 16 goals in 24 games. He will definitely be signing after the season, and they could slot him in there. And that's, a young centerman you could probably slot in as or even if you want him to play the wing because you're loaded at center, because they do have good centers. That's a guy who they could slot in there and make them very dangerous if he all of a sudden can pick up this steam in the NHL too, because he's played against men for a while, so it wouldn't shock me.
Now, okay.
Good one.
There was I mentioned it yesterday, but it's sort of getting talked out there like it's going to happen before the deadline, and I think we need to sort of shoot it down in a bit. Jack Eichel is not getting traded before the trade deadline. No. I just have to tell because this is the thing. There's a lot of speculation out there. The thing I mentioned yesterday was Fluto Shinzawa from the Athletic was he's from Boston, and I'm sure the Bruins would love to get him.
Ryder was going there. Everybody
wants. Everybody would love to have Eichel.
It's worse than the Toronto people wanting people to go play for the Leafs.
I'm going to say it's equal because for the last 10 years we've been hearing Kreider's going to go there when his contract's up. Hannafin's going to get traded there. Like anybody who's ever from Boston,
is slightly different about that. You're right. You've got Boston, Minnesota, Toronto. These are places where players have all tended to return home to play. Right? Montreal, not really much. But Minnesota, Toronto, Boston. The thing I've noticed is that players, a lot of guys from Boston don't want the pressure of playing in Boston.
Right.
That's different. I think more so than Toronto and Minnesota, where they seem better with it. I think in Boston, I've talked to players who go to Boston. It's how many friends I'd have to get tickets for every game if I was on the field.
That was
how much trouble I'd have to. How much work it would be. How I would be just insulting my guys all the time by not being able to get them in. He's it'd be really hard.
Even though he hasn't turned out to be an impact player. If you remember when the whole Jimmy Vesey sweepstakes was going on, and everybody thought Boston was a favorite in there. After he signed with the Rangers, and Kevin Hayes, I guess, was instrumental in getting him to sign with the Rangers. It was just that. It was the attention that he would have had going to Boston, being from Boston. That was a detriment to their.
Well, I also think he saw that. Didn't Jimmy Hayes go to Boston? And
yes,
so he saw that firsthand.
Right. So
and it's really tough. It's really I mean that. Boston hockey players have more friends than anybody you'd imagine. It's just funny talking to them. It's just they all seem to have such big friend groups up there, and it's and they're all hockey fans.
It's not.
It's a problem. It definitely affects them in a negative way.
But the point is there are 30 teams that would want Jack Eichel.
Of course, no. Jack Eichel's not going to be traded at a deadline. Jack Eichel's not a deadline trade. Jack Eichel's and if he's not, I don't think he's a trade. I don't think he's a trade at all. I don't think he's ever.
Okay. Here's the situation.
Parents went away on a week's vacation. Sorry, no, go ahead, continue. Sorry.
Jack Eichel's contract, he has a no movement clause that kicks in the 22-23 season. So right now, even if he asks for a trade, like Sam Bennett did or Jake Virtanen did. I mean, he's a higher level. He's a top 5 center in the NHL.
Right.
You're not going to get maximum value for him at a trade deadline, especially with a $10 million salary. It's going to be a deal. If it does happen, it's going to happen in the summer. He's not going to get traded probably at the absolute earliest until this summer, and probably next summer, the summer of 22, before July 1st, when the no move clause kicks in. So we can dine on this act for a year and a half, because the rumors will be aplenty.
Yeah, for sure.
The Sabres are not trading him. I mean, they probably still hope they can turn things around. It doesn't seem like it's possible with the cluster F that it is right now, but Eichels don't grow on trees. You don't trade them, and if you do trade them, you're not trading them for a first-round pick and a prospect. You need to get more than, say, what Columbus got for Ryan Johansson.
No, I agree, but some of these offers on Twitter are ridiculous.
Yeah,
even from some people in the media. But what I'll say is this: I do think Eichel can get traded. I don't think it'll be this summer either. I think this summer there's the prospect of the league getting better financially, but if the cap actually goes up the following year, I could see him getting traded before that season starts, because then teams will have that extra money. Because right now, with the cap not going up much, you don't want 3 $10 million players on your team. You just don't. And I know the Leafs right now are the one team that has it, and maybe there's one other team that has it, but I'm telling you, like, people want him to go to the Rangers, right? So here's the conundrum. Forgetting about who might get offered. Here's the conundrum for them. So they're paying Panarin. They're paying Kreider pretty good money. They are going to have to pay Zibanejad. Are you not going to pay Zibanejad now? No, you're probably still going to, because you still need that 1-2 punch at center. Yeah, you'll trade Strome and you'll lose some of that. And then you have some young players that eventually you're going to have to pay too. And so that's where a team like
Shesterkin will take a little more.
Lafreniere is going to be a guy you're going to pay down the road.
Yeah,
if he could stay healthy. So, what are you going to do with those guys? The more you sign Eichels, the more you have to jettison those guys when their ELC period and their RFA period is up.
You're gonna lose the middle class of your team.
Yeah.
When you're in a position like Toronto, or what Dubas has done effectively this year as opposed to other years, is he's been able to convince veteran players like Spezza to take $700,000, like Thornton to take $700,000, Simmons to take 1.5. He's gotten contributions out of guys making veteran minimum or close to veteran minimum. But what's going to happen next year? And put the goaltending aside. Zach Hyman is an unrestricted free agent. There is no more important player. Obviously Matthews and Tavares and Marner, but after that, there is no more important player to the Leafs than Zach Hyman. So
I'm going to be honest on that one, Mike. It's true, and if I'm his agent,
sorry, apologize.
I guess Chewy doesn't like agents.
Give my dog medicine. I just sorry.
If I'm his agent. I'm telling him to test the market, even if he wants to go back to the Leafs, because his value is pretty high and he can hold the Leafs over a barrel. And I think Zach Hyman will have the Leafs over a barrel to some extent.
I mean, it's very possible, Russ, if he wants to maximize his value. I mean, he probably
it's going to be his one big contract. We can't.
Right. No, I agree. But what the Leafs can do is they can give him more term and front loaded like they've done in the past, and more signing bonus like they have done in the past. Of course, my phone rings just as we're talking about this.
I'm going to tell you what's on the screen. Which happens first, a trade or fire Ralph? It will be fire Ralph.
It will be fire Ralph every day.
They will try everything. They will try everything, Mike, to keep Jack Eichel. And if it comes down to, are we going to keep Jack Eichel or eat $4 million of Ralph Krueger? They're going to get rid of Krueger.
Well, apparently, from all reports, Eichel likes Krueger.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I checked into that yesterday when I was doing my story, and it's a little bit overblown, and it's also at this point that's changing a little bit. There's some things there. I mean, this is not the season to, like, his love is not growing for Ralph Krueger this year. He liked Krueger last year for sure. He thinks he's a great guy. He definitely said, and Eichel says if you look at Eichel, he says all the right things that he should say.
It would be surprising if there weren't factions in that locker room with the train wreck that team is right now. But again, I don't know whether even if do you think Ralph Krueger deserves to be fired? Absolutely. Do I think the Sabres will fire him? No, because he's in control and he's doing it with
Not sure about that.
I think he's in control.
I mean, everybody agrees with you, Mike. Everybody, and you're on Buffalo press conferences and all that stuff. You cover the Sabres for other things.
I talk to people, yeah. So,
but other people I talk to in Buffalo agree with you. Everybody ever talked to in Buffalo, like I said yesterday, my source said no, that Krueger is going to survive. Yep. But there is a point. It was, and sometimes when you're closer to the situation, it's harder to see this. Sometimes even like the closer you get, but like because I've been in situations where I'm like, oh, they'll never fire, Laviolette in Philadelphia right now or whatever. There's just a point at which when
they fired him 3 games into the season.
Right. So there's a point at which things do. The Krueger is not invincible. Like I'm just telling you, he's not.
He's not invincible, but
if it continues like this for another month, he's gone. I mean,
no, I don't think so. But somebody made the point. Okay, what is it? If you're the Pagulas and you're paying Krueger $4 million to coach, and you fire him.
Yeah,
you're obviously still paying him money for this year and the rest of next year. There is nobody in the organization right now to take over. The coach in Rochester has 6 games of pro experience. Unless you're making Steve Smith the interim coach, the staff is guys like Adam Mayer and Mike Weber who have no coaching experience whatsoever. So really, you're probably at the absolute worst leaving him in until the end of the year and just writing this off as a complete and utter disaster.
Mike, come on.
Okay. Yeah.
No, he doesn't like that organization right now.
I'm kidding.
Right now,
I think that there's other guys. I mean, Claude Julian's out. There's guys that are out there. Right?
But they would have to.
They have to pay a lot of money.
But that's a lot. And then, granted, they don't. I mean, that doesn't play with their normal modus operandi. But
I'm sure they're going to go back to Mike Babcock after he left them at the altar a few years ago. You know who
that's an ugly image that just shot in my head, Mike. Like being left to the altar by Mike Babcock, just like
you know who I would who would be a breath of fresh air in Buffalo, who I think would be somebody who could help turn this team around. He wouldn't have a lot of success in the playoffs because he never has. Is Bruce Boudreau? I think Bruce Boudreau would be an inspired.
Yeah, he's definitely putting on a good face on NHL Network. There's no.
He wants to be a coach.
Plus, they do have he would love going to Duff's and Anchor Bar and number.
I feel like we have to do a show at the Anchor Bar at some point because it's like every time we mention it on here, we should.
You won't be able to get him through the doors.
Only if you buy me a Kevlar suit.
Here's what I will say.
Wait a second. Maybe I'm paying attention at all to what Mike says, but I'm sure that Mike, you hate the Anchor Bar.
Yeah, Adam Ziller.
It's a tourist trap. It's a tourist trap. It's the most overrated wings in Buffalo, and somebody got murdered there, so I'm not going there.
No, I know. I'm telling Adam Ziller, calm down. I was kidding about LaFontaine. I said I was kidding. He's never going back.
Yes, I know.
What I will say is the tipping point for Krueger. For Ralph Krueger actually could be Rasmus Dahlin because if he continues to slip and get frustrated and tells his agent, we're not going to re-sign here, that could be the tipping point because they can't lose him.
Let me just quickly finish my point that I was bringing about Hyman. Hyman's a UFA.
Right.
Anderson's a UFA, but the Leafs are going to have to find a goaltender, either re-signing Anderson or trading for somebody or whatever. Of course, Jack Campbell gets a shutout against Edmonton, and everybody says Jack Campbell can be the starter. If he could stay healthy, then that would be a help. But they have Hyman as a UFA this year, and they have Morgan Riley his contract is expiring next year. If there is a clear sign that those players are going to get signed and William Nylander is going to get traded to clear his cap space to sign those guys, I don't know what, that to me, it's everybody is rooting for Nylander to put up big numbers this year and score like crazy because it'll make it so easy for the Leafs to trade him and get value back for him.
Mike, not to ruin your fever dream about trading Nylander, I do want to at least I do feel like I have to mention I do think the New York Islanders would be a strong suitor for Zach Hyman for obvious reasons. I do.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, Russ. I mean, okay, you can
have money. They'll have a new arena.
You can only rely on the the mantra of, well, he wants to stay in Toronto. Yeah, he wants to stay in Toronto, but he also wants to get paid. And I think he could get paid. Like, okay, I believe Hyman is 29 or 30. My prediction will be he gets signed to like a 6-year deal with an AAV of like 4.6, and he gets front loaded the first 4 or 5 years, and then they add on the extra year to lower the AAV. I think he wants to stay in Toronto. I think he wants to win a cup in Toronto if that ever happens.
Yeah, but I could see.
But I think he wants to get paid too, and I think there will be a compromise there. He wants to stay in Toronto, but
I could see Matt Martin texting him and saying, "Bro, let's go to Jones Beach and talk about this." And I could see it.
Yeah,
Reno Islands, left for Islanders like me. Yep, there you go. So I'm quoting. That's my third song quote of the day. Everybody, keep track. You're drinking out there. Name all three quotes for HockeyBuzz.com annual subscription.
We got to get you on Rockology.
Yeah, Eck does need to come on Rockology.
I am not good in the morning, kids. This is like too early for me. I'm like I get loopy. Anyway, so I'm trying my best. But no, I agree. I think you guys are doing a really, really good job of keeping the show together. Before we go, I did one more thing on my list here. Oh, I did bring this up. This is really funny. And this is just a personal vendetta, but I thought I should, if not to share it now, when, so here we go. This is, I always have issues with this because this really shouldn't be, where is it? Darn it.
No, not Rock Jeopardy, Richard, in the chat. Oh, X looking this up.
Well, it's Rockology. Mike and I have a podcast it's on sportsology.com. Check it out. We did 2 episodes already.
Yes.
I haven't been invited to do this?
Yes. We just invited you. Did you hear?
No one told me anything about this.
I just invited you.
Okay. No, I was looking up something at the same time. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go.
Just invited you. Yes.
Okay, yes, anytime. Hey, I'll do that.
While Ak is looking this up, I just saw on Reddit here there was a goal in the MHL where somebody scored a goal using the lacrosse move, and then last night Trevor Zegras almost scored.
That's close. He got everybody sleeping, and he almost did it.
No, okay. I love this. I'm like anything that they can score more goals with is fine. But there are some people who want to have this banned, who want it to be illegal, and I'm like, why? I mean, they're not enough goals scored as is. It's like I don't get it. But
I'll tell you why this happened. Because guys were standing around, and Zegras saw that, and he's a smart player, and he's like, you know what? I'm going for it, and that would have been his first NHL goal. Imagine how memorable that would have been.
Richard says he'll do a review for the Steve Hackett show in April for Rockology, Russ. So
that'd be cool.
We'll take him up on that.
All right, here's my little thing. Sorry about that. Okay, so what's wrong with this? Okay, so let me see. Okay, so what's wrong with these headlines here? Okay, so this is the NHL. This is NHL.com right now. And
what's up? Buzz.
Come on, folks. Just stealing my stuff all the time. Just can you just blatantly steal it anymore?
Hey, I told Russ a couple years ago at Ralph Wilson Stadium, now Bills Stadium in Buffalo, they had a video montage on there, and there was something called Sportsology.
Yeah.
And
there's a Sportsology exhibit in Minnesota. There was a guy who started another website, Sportsology, with a hyphen. And I think that went awry, but it's fine. It's just, we get copied.
It's ahead of our time, Russ. Just ahead of our time.
We are, but I will say this: the headline about Tortorella not worried about job security, he's not, because he's leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And apparently Jarmo Kekalainen is supposed to come out and have a press availability this morning and say that he's backing Tortorella. Yeah. Well, I mean,
for this year.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
I want to thank El Guapo for this, and I look forward to your contributions to the legal fund. Okay.
Go to
patreon.com/hockey if you help legally sue NHL.com for using the buzz term.
Yes,
I on the radio part of sportsology.com to get Rockology. Thank you.
Yes, El Guapo may have had the best line, or the El Guapo is the character from Three Amigos.
Yeah,
and possibly
horrible movie.
Horrible movie, but the line attached to El Guapo could have been the funniest. I can't say it here. I'll say it after the show.
Yeah.
All right, that's
something being filled with a never.
Remember, without breakfast, it's just hockey. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for watching. Enjoy the games tonight and have fun. That's it. Okay.